Tour de Pharmacy is a 2017 made-for-television mockumentary sports film directed by Jake Szymanski, starring Andy Samberg, Orlando Bloom, Freddie Highmore, David Diggs and John Cena. It premiered on HBO on July 8, 2017, and is a follow-up to 7 Days in Hell, also written and directed by Miller and Szymanski and starring Samberg. The film is a satire of various controversies surrounding doping in sports, specifically as it relates to cycling and the Tour de France. Whilst looking into making a follow-up to 7 Days in Hell, Samberg and his crew looked for a sport that could be displayed cheaply while also having comedic potential. In researching, the team found so much strange behaviour surrounding the sport, telling Vulture that we felt like it was a funny thing to really exaggerate and blow up for comedic purposes. Although much of the cast consists of fans of the sport, this was not a prerequisite in order to get cast. Lance Armstrong's role was written in the knowledge that he might not want to be involved in the final project, but after being contacted by Samberg, the cyclist agreed to take part, much to the surprise of the cast and crew. The film's race scenes were shot over the course of 4 days, and the interviews filmed over a much longer period to accommodate the stars' schedules. To maintain an 80s aesthetic, much of the race footage was shot on Betamax cameras, with sideline footage shot on VHS. Now, I found Tour de Pharmacy to be absolutely brilliant. This is an original, brave and completely over-the-top film. And while the humour may not be for everyone, if you can let loose and let your hair down, this would definitely leave you in absolute stitches, as this hilarious mockumentary is a spot-on satire of the doping scandals that have marred the Tour de France in the recent years. Now, the Tour de France is one of the most watched and beloved sporting events of the year, with riders putting themselves through literal hell to win at all costs. This film, however, tackles the darker side of professional cycling with crude humour and absurdity, and really pokes fun at the more controversial side of this historic event. Lance Armstrong's involvement is a masterstroke, as he hilariously sends up himself and the doping allegations that have haunted him in his career. Considered by many to be one of the best known, yet also most controversial cyclists in history, with 7 wins of the Tour de France coming after beating cancer, Armstrong was considered by many to be one of the most recognisable personalities on Earth at one stage. That, of course, until it was found that he'd been doping the whole time throughout all of his wins. Armstrong, like many of the other cyclists of the time, was taking performance-enhancing drugs. Armstrong has said, well, everybody was doing it, I just did it the best. But nonetheless, of course, it was the way he lied about doing this, and these cheating allegations really tarnished his heroic character. He, of course, would have all 7 of his victories eventually removed from the history books. So the mere fact that this disgraced former hero is prepared to laugh at himself and make light of these past misdemeanors is absolutely brilliant on one hand. It can also be seen as the disgraced cyclist taking advantage and mocking the sport he brought into such disrepute. Now, John Cena is absolutely magnificent here as Gustav Dieters, the Austrian cyclist who has gained a considerable amount of muscle mass from the previous year due to taking steroids. Cena is a natural comic and really does not mind taking the mickey out of himself, as he brings his signature energy to this film. Also, just having the likes of boxing legend Mike Tyson appear is just such a fun and surprising touch. I love the mere fact that the film has cameos from the likes of Freddie Highmore, Julie Ormond, Danny Glover, Kevin Bacon and even Jeff Goldblum, all of which are mostly serious actors. But here they just let their hair down and have a lot of fun, and it really just sort of adds another gravitas to this incredibly funny piece of filmmaking. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is not one for the faint of heart. The humour is rather raunchy, crude, and can be seen somewhat as controversial and exaggerated. But if you like your humour racy, bold, and are prepared to be shocked and want a good guttural laugh, then this film is for you. Probably I found one of the weakest elements of the film is the casting of Orlando Bloom here as Italian Giugiu Pepi. But in saying that, his bad Italian accent sort of adds to the over-the-top absurdity that the show already presents itself as. It's definitely done in a tongue-in-cheek style and is not meant to be taken seriously. I can even see some being offended by the casting here of Andy Samberg as a Nigerian cyclist, but it's done in such an absurd manner you can't help but laugh. Tour de Pharmacy is a laugh-out-loud comedy that is not to be missed. It's a must-watch for anyone who loves the folklore surrounding the Tour de France, or just enjoys a good satire and wants to have a good old-fashioned laugh and forget about their troubles for a little while at least. Controversial and offensive to some, yet I found it bold, crude and absolutely hilarious. And as I said, if you can let your guard down, relax and enjoy this comedy, it may just be what the doctor ordered. Tour de Pharmacy gets a 9.5 out of 10.